What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Coming at you with a super fun video today. I am in beautiful Malibu, California. And if you look behind me, we got a pair of beautiful Broncos. So today I'm gonna do a video for you guys, kind of like a this versus that. And why not start with the original, right? You guys know I'm the Bronco guy, a Team Bronco ambassador. As of right now, I've got about 110,000 miles behind the wheel of a 6th generation Bronco, like the 23 you see sitting behind me. Velocity Restorations has been gracious enough to let me play with one of their fully restored 1st gen. This thing has got a Coyote under the hood, 460 horsepower, 10-speed transmission. But we're gonna quickly talk about some spec differences from this versus that. If you're considering maybe getting a Bronco, either an old one or a new one, this video might help you kind of make some of those decisions on, you know, dumping a lot of money in something like that, or also a lot of money in a new one, just depending on what your preference is. So let's dive into it. All right, guys, so we're gonna start off with the 1972 classic 1st generation Ford Bronco Ranger Edition. You can see by the paint scheme here, we've got the light kind of baby blue and the white with the red trim, color matched wheels, Velocity logos on the hubcaps or the center caps. And we're gonna dive right into this thing. So if you're wanting to know what something like this costs, you're looking at a price tag of $268,000. So again, this is not a cheap thing, but cheap things aren't good and good things aren't cheap. When I say this has been fully restored top to bottom, I am not exaggerating, guys. Every single bolt on this thing has a shine to it. The frame is hammer powder coated, the springs are shiny black, the differentials you could dang near eat off of them. Beautiful Brittany blue paint. We've got 17-inch steel wheels with 285 7017 tires on it, JW speaker LED headlights, the all-new glass weather seals all the way around, custom color matched bikini top, you know, so you got that same classic feel inside to outs from the top. On the interior, nice, really just really vintagey feel when you're sitting inside the cockpit of this thing. You know, taking an old classic like a 72 Bronco and modernizing it with some new technology. This has custom power boards that deploy when you open the door, allowing easy access, you know, for the lady in case, you know, my wife is short. So that's a nice feature to have to allow my 5'0" wife get inside this thing. Underneath the hood, we've got a Gen 3 Ford 5.0 Coyote crate engine. You know, again, we're taking modernization out of a newer vehicle with Ford's engineering with a 465 horsepower 5-liter V8 engine, a 10R80 automatic 10-speed transmission with overdrive. Again, kind of touching on the modernization, we've got power steering, we've got air condition, all the things that you're going to find in a brand new 2023 vehicle stuffed under the hood of this 1972 Ford Bronco. Now, having all of that horsepower in a vehicle that was not engineered to have 400 ponies under the hood. You know, I think back in the day this thing made like 90 horsepower, if that. You know, this is a very small, short wheelbase, little vehicle, and we've just stuffed a ton of horsepower into the hood of this thing. So stopping power is really important when it comes to slowing down and making sure that you and your family are safe. We've got 4-wheel wheel disc brakes with hydro boost and assisted braking. All of this is riding on a 2.5-inch suspension lift, Dana 44 front axle, and then that classic Ford 9-inch rear end. All right, interior, let's jump into the super sexiness inside this thing. We got Velocity custom interior with high back front seats and rear fold and tumble. Velocity exclusive Dakota digital gauge. Retro sound Bluetooth stereo, focal sound system with 4 speakers and a subwoofer. You know, we gotta be bumping when we're cruising this thing down here in Malibu, right? Gotta jam them tunes when you're on the beach. And vintage air AC system, 4-point color match roll caged. You know, it matches those sexy white wheels and that white trim outside. That is the nuts and bolts of this 1972 Ford Bronco. Super sexy, fun truck. We're gonna jump into it here in a minute and take it for a cruise and just kind of talk a little briefly about the differences between a classic Bronco with a modernized engine under the hood compared to a brand new current 2023 Ford Bronco with its current powertrain in it. All right, so we've talked about the 72. I know a lot of guys you've seen me drive around in Broncos for the last couple years. Like I told you earlier, I've got over 100,000 miles of seat time behind a 6G Ford Bronco. Real quickly, a lot of these specs are really readily available, so I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it, but just real briefly, 2023 Ford Bronco, 6th generation truck. So we're talking, you know, a huge age difference between a 23 and a 1972. But, you know, quickly, the 23, it does have a 10-speed transmission like the Velocity Restoration. So again, taking that, you know, new school technology, putting it in an old school truck, vice versa. This truck has a 2.7 liter twin turbo EcoBoost Ford engine that makes a little over 300 horsepower. So we're talking, you know, 1.5 difference on power between the two. So I am very interested to see how the 72 drives with that Coyote under the hood. That's a naturally aspirated, non-force inducted engine versus the smaller displacement that is twin turboed with the forced induction. That's gonna change a little bit how it feels behind the seat. All right, enough talking about the 23. You guys have seen the 23 on my channel for 2 years now. You've seen me run them, you've seen me gun them, you've seen me jump them, you've seen me rock crawl a new Bronco. Let's jump into this 1972 and let's go take this bad boy for a spin. Let's feel those ponies rumble underneath my rear and feel that power in my feet. And let's see how much I'm smiling as we do this. All right, here comes the part I've been most excited about. We can look at it and talk about it all we want to. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. 5 liter V8, 465 horsepower. Woo-hoo! Safety first, guys. Safety first. Go, ladies and gentlemen. 1972 Velocity Restorations Ford Bronco. Oh, it just sounds amazing. Oh, yes. So good. Woo-hoo! We're gonna pull out onto the expressway. Oh my God! Yes! Oh, this is gonna ruin me. This is gonna absolutely ruin me. There's nothing like driving a classic. Nothing like it. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, when you're sitting behind the wheel of something that you can see and feel metal, you know, don't get me wrong, driving a brand new vehicle is amazing, but there's nothing like driving a classic vehicle. You ready? Are you ready for it? Yes! That is so good. Oh my God, I want one of these so bad. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about it. Like I said, we've got all new chassis underneath this thing, solid axle front and rear, completely custom suspension that sits 2.5 inches over stock. This truck tracks straight as an arrow. I mean, I can let go of the wheel, it coasts for a couple hundred miles, you know, I can let go of the wheel, it coasts for a couple hundred yards. It's not weaving and wandering. You know, with the coil spring suspension and the Bilstein shocks. Coincidentally enough, the new Bronco comes standard with a Bilstein shock absorber, and this also has Bilsteins on it too, which is a really cool thing to have a, you know, a brand on a vehicle from, you know, restoration side of things all the way to a brand new Bronco, utilizing the same manufacturer for aftermarket parts. This thing just cruises though, guys. I am just absolutely, this is amazing. All right, guys, we're gonna do another dig. We're gonna let these ponies sing a little bit. Holy shit! Woo! That is good stuff right there, baby. Oh my goodness. Seating, you know, even the seating position, like I feel super comfortable in this thing. I feel like it was built for Chase Gentry, AKA Team Bronco Ambassador. Hey, I'll be a Team Bronco Vintage Ambassador. Velocity Restorations, if you want me to be an ambassador for one of your trucks, I can do that for you. No problem. This thing thing tracks so well. Tell you what, I love my new Bronco, but I think I might love this just a tad bit more. God, it rides so good. Woo, and that braking power, I know we talked about those four-wheel disc brakes. It stops on a dime. Dude, this is so good.
Cool.
So good.
You know this too? It's got power windows.
Oh, dude. Power window. I didn't see that a while ago. Look at that. Power windows. Look at that. That is rad. Such a nifty use of vintage looking door panels. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up this video. We didn't have a whole lot of time. I had to drive an hour and a half to get to Malibu to have this opportunity to play with this. So again, I wanna thank Velocity Restorations for letting me play with their $200 and something thousand Ford Bronco, because it was an experience like I've never had behind the wheel of a vehicle. I am an absolute gearhead and an even bigger Bronco fanatic, so this is like a dream for me. You know, real quick recap between the new one and the old one, this versus that. What do I prefer, right? So I will say that the new one has more of a heavier, obviously way smoother ride with the independent front suspension versus the short wheelbase with the solid axle front and rear. But there's something about driving a classic. It's really hard to beat that vibe and that feel of that you know, just mechanical power underneath the seat of your rear, driving, you know, a very metal truck. So this one is going to be I'm gonna have to go with this, the 1972 Velocity Restorations Ford Bronco. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please like the video. I invite you to hang around, stick around, subscribe to the channel. If you want to see me do more this versus that videos, drop a comment below what I should do with this versus that with. Maybe somebody else will let me play with their amazing piece of machinery. So see you guys in the next one.